Hello, welcome to part 2 of the Boundary Books eAlert 100. This is on the Boundary Books YouTube channel, and we're running through some of the items in our latest email catalogue called eAlert 100 in this case. You can find all the details on our website www.boundarybooks.com. So we've got part way through the eAlert in the first video. Now we've got a series of books to show you, produced by another great name in cricket bibliography and cricket history, A.D. Taylor. He was a man from Sussex and a great collector, a great bibliographer, great researcher into cricket history. And like Ashley Cooper, who we talked about in the first video, he produced a lot of interesting books which have become quite collectible, quite often in limited numbers, and they're a delight to hold. We've got a few of them in this eAlert. We have others in stock, of course. First one listed is Sussex Cricket Records by Willow Wielder. That was the pen name of A.D. Taylor, one of his pen names. And it's a tiny little book, as you can see, mainly statistical records, produced in 1921. And what's interesting about this copy, the book's rare in itself, but this one was owned by C.I.S. Wallace, Charlie Wallace, who was again a great cricket historian through the 1920s, 30s, 40s. And it's presented to Charlie Wallace from A.D. Taylor in 1920, and delightfully has in the back a little letter. Dear Mr. Wallace, have not forgotten you. In the meantime, carry on with the enclosed. Yours, A.D. Taylor. And I don't know whether you can see, that was A.D. Taylor's personal letterhead. A lovely little thing. Matchstick men playing cricket. But to the collector, that makes that little book a priceless thing. Other books by Taylor in this catalogue: the Diamond Jubilee of the Sussex County Cricket Club, produced 1899. Only 100 copies were made. This is a perfectly good copy, full of statistics on the club and its history from 1839 to 1899, the 60-year jubilee. A rare book, 100 of them, and this one with an inscription to the collector R.J. Parker from Taylor, signed by him, makes it a special association copy. Then here's a little thing, again by Taylor, take it out. Cricket Extraordinary, produced in 1903, and it looks like it has no covers, but that's how it was issued. That's in its original state. Sometimes people put hard covers on them, but this is as Taylor issued it. Again, this is full of not statistics so much as extraordinary events in cricket. Nice little thing. Then we move on to, I should mention with A.D. Taylor that Boundary Books did publish a memoir, a life of A.D. Taylor, some years ago now. We still have copies, you'll find them on the website. A.D. Taylor, the cricketologist as he was known, and it's an interesting read. Next item on the website, on the eAlert, Hampstead Cricket Club 1893. Hampstead was and is a famous cricket club. Some great players were playing for them in the 19th century. Andrew Stoddart, the England captain, and later on Spofforth, the great Australian, played for Hampstead. So it's a club with a lot of history. This was quite a rare book, though, produced privately just for the club in 1893, and it's a full record of that season. It's got lists of all the members, full scores of all the matches. Quite an attractive and scarce book. Next one, catalogue of the pictures, drawings, sculptures, prints, etc., and also of a collection of old bats belonging to the Marylebone Cricket Club. So this was issued in 1912, and it's a catalogue of all the treasures that MCC owned at that time. The museum and the collection is famous today, and it's a vast collection, but it started from very little, and by 1912 this was a list of their paintings, prints, ceramics, bits and pieces. So it's quite a valuable piece of the history of MCC. It's compiled by Sir Spencer Ponsonby Fane, and it's quite hard to get these days. Then we go on to a slightly obscure character in the history of cricket writing, A. Benitez de Lugo, who was the Marquis of Santa Susana, and he wrote a few books in the late 19th century on Surrey cricket. He was a great Surrey cricket enthusiast. This one is called Surrey at the Wicket. All his books are rare. They were produced in Madrid, but of course mainly sold in England and mainly in Surrey. It's a detailed statistical work. There's not much text, but a lot of detail on Surrey cricket, but also on the players. You've got all the birth records and quite a lot of detail, and indeed how tall the players were. Every player who played even a single game for Surrey from 1844 up to 1899. This copy belonged to the famous collector Joe Goldman. That's his bookplate. You see that quite often. He had a huge collection of cricket books, and most of his books are in good condition and of interest. You probably can't see this, is faded quite badly, but there's an ink inscription from De Lugo to the recipient of this book in 1894. Still on Surrey, this book is by the Reverend R.S. Holmes, who we mentioned in the first video. It's called Surrey Cricket and Cricketers. It was produced in 1896. This copy's been rebound more recently to preserve it, but it's in good condition inside. And it scores, statistics, illustrations, and quite a bit of text on the history of Surrey cricket and the players who played up until that time. And one of those players was W. Reid, a fine cricketer for Surrey and for England. And what we have here, just one example of the many cricket photographs we stock. This is a beautiful sepia photograph of Reid. It's a cabinet card, this size of photograph, popular at the time in the 1880s, I guess. It's a cabinet card and in perfect condition. The next book in the list is the Cricket Chronicle for 1863. It's the title page. It's nicely bound in full leather. It's called the Cricket Chronicle for the season 1863, a record with full scores of matches played. To be continued annually by Captain W. Bailey, volume the first. Well, sadly, it was the first and the last. There were no more. It was the following year Wisden started in 1864, for covering 1864, and that first Wisden was a slim and strange affair, whereas Bailey's book is almost like a modern Wisden. I mean, full of scores, a substantial book, quite valuable to students of the period. But what a shame presumably the finances didn't allow any more, but it's now a rare book. Complete change of tack. The next book on the list is The Quest for Bowlers by C.T.B. Turner, known as The Terror. So it's produced in Australia, so quite hard to get in England. This copy has the dust wrapper, a little bit worn around the edges, but there's the original covers underneath. It's a nice copy of a book that's hard to get. And it's got some instructional, some discussion of technique, but also a lot about the current cricket, a few record personal points by Turner, the googly, and about the Ashes. There's Turner at the time he wrote the book. Just recently there's been a full biography of The Terror, C.T.B. Turner, and we do stock copies of that as well. And the last book in this section of the video, back to a Surrey connection, Old Cricket and Cricketers. It's by H.H. Montgomery, who was the Bishop of Tasmania. They do crop up, don't they? We've had the Marquess of Santa Susanna, now the Bishop of Tasmania. But he was a great student of Surrey cricket, a great enthusiast of Surrey cricket. And indeed the preface is written by C.W. Alcock, who was Secretary of Surrey. And this has got a, oh there we are, there's the frontispiece. Is the Surrey team of 1861. A lot of interesting memories about the early cricketers, 18th century and through the 19th century. Personal recollections by Montgomery. A lot of emphasis on Surrey, but it does cover other cricket as well. So it's quite a good source book. Anyway, that's the end of this section, and I think we're going to do one more to cover everything else in the eAlert. Thank you.